Deposits are one of the most misunderstood pieces of an agreement of purchase and sale. And here's why I think so. First, let's go over what a deposit really even is. So when you're putting in an offer on a home, you get an offer accepted, whether it's a offer with conditions or no conditions, you got to put some money down. And this is called a deposit. It is usually 5% of asking price, give or take. There's pros and cons to both, mostly on the seller side, but you can use some of those pros to your advantage on the buying side as well. But I digress that. And it's money within 24 hours you usually have to give to that other brokerage. And this money does go towards your purchase price. It actually goes towards your down payment. So I feel like sometimes people might think like, oh, I still need all that money once I give it to them to also for my down payment. This does go towards it, which is nice. It could be a good chunk of it as well, depending on how much you're giving, or if you're a first-time buyer, or whatever your situation may be as well. But this is money that gets held in trust at the other brokerage's account. It's safe. They deal with it within the lawyers, all of that fun stuff. Now, deposits play that important piece, especially when you have no conditions. But when you go in with conditions, you give that deposit. If at any point during that conditional period you decide you don't want to go forward with the deal anymore, whether your financing wasn't good, the home inspection, whatever it was, you do get that money back as long as you were still in that conditional period. You just got to fill out a couple papers, pretty much one paper. Don't worry about it. And you do get that money back. It might take a little bit of time depending on if they have to write you a check or whatever it may be. So a lot of people, when they're buying and they're putting in a lot of offers, if that's the only money that you do have and you're looking at getting your deposit back and putting your money into a different house the next day, you won't be able to. You will not have that money back in time. I think a minimum that you'd be looking at is 3 business days, but it could be longer. It just depends on the brokerage, how you gave them the money and how they're going to give it to you back. So that is something to always be aware of if you're looking to go from one house to another because you found one better, or whatever your situation might be, is that money will still probably be tied up in your first property. But aside from getting your money back in conditions, if you went in unconditional, or say that you went through your conditions, you were good, and you decided to go firm on the deal, so you have no more conditions, you're going forward, you said, yes, I want this house. If at any point between then and closing, you decide you don't want that house, that's when you could lose that deposit, whether it's $5,000 or $50,000. And you could be sued as well. But it is a big deal for this deposit. It's not just money you can assume you get back because you don't want it. You know, there's no return receipt. There's no 10-day buffer on this type of purchase. So the money part is big, and it is something I feel like it gets looked over really easily by buyers because it is just a part of the process, right? You give the money, you go through the motions, you figure it out, but it is a really big step. So please remember that next time you're putting a deposit on a home.